Argo CD is a GitOps tool used with Kubernetes applications for continuous delivery. Hi, my name is Sam Gabriel, and in this video, we're going to explore the basics of Argo CD and see why it's very useful when running Kubernetes applications. Let's get started. All right, so we're in this GitHub repo, and we're going to go ahead and run a code space or create a new code space if you don't already have one. I have one running already, so I'm going to go into this code space. And I've set up this code space so it will run Minikube for you the first time you start it. In this case, I've already started it before, so it's good to go. Now, what you need to do is make sure you open this in VS Code Desktop. This is important for the school app to work. This is the app that we're going to use. And the reason for that is that the school app relies on a front end and an API, along with a Mongo database for the backend. And it doesn't work if you're running inside of the Codespace browser, because the Codespace browser uses specific URLs that GitHub Cloud uses, and I don't have service discovery running so that the front end will discover the back end, the API, and so on and so forth. So to make this all work, basically run this in your own desktop, Visual Studio Code desktop, and that will get the different components of the application to talk to each other, no problem. All right, so that's basically the setup. Let's go ahead and open our guide for today's demo. As you can see here, Minikube automatically starts. If for some reason it doesn't start for you, just in a terminal window, type Minikube start, and that should get the Kubernetes cluster ready for you. And here we have a few things we're going to do in this demo. First of all, we're going to install this school app using Helm Charts. And then I'll show you how this school app runs. And then we're going to do the same thing with Argo CD this time and see how we can deliver an application with Argo CD. And then we're going to have a little bit of fun in terms of making changes in Git and see how Argo CD is able to detect drifts between what we call the live state, which is the actual state of the application, and the target state, which is the desired state of the application that you have specified in Git. And that's really what GitOps is all about. It's about making Git your source of truth. And then from there, any changes to Git, that's your desired state. So basically, it's a declarative model. All right, so now let's go ahead and start installing the application. So first of all, create a namespace for the school app. Then we're going to add the Bitnami Helm repo. And then we're going to use the Helm install command to install our Mongo database into Kubernetes using Helm. And now if you run KGA stands for kubectl get all. Actually, we need to use, I'll show you all the aliases that I have already for you in this code space. So you can see KJA, I'm going to use that a lot. kubectl get all, KG for kubectl get, KD kubectl describe, and KDEL kubectl delete, and K for kubectl. So that really helps me to move quickly with the Kubernetes CLI. Okay, so let's run kubeNS. I have kubectx and kubeNS also installed for you. Let's run school app and take a look at what we've got here. We've got the Mongo database running, and the pod is good to go. So let's clear here and continue installing our application. Next, we're going to install the Helm repo that I have for the school app, which is in GitLab. I use GitLab for my CI/CD needs, so I'm not going to get into the actual application, how it's developed, but just know that the front end is using Vue.js. The API is using Fast API, Python's framework for APIs, which is really good. And now what we're going to do, actually, let's see what's been deployed, and we see already the API, the front end, they're already up and running. So this all looks good. This is our application. Now we want to forward the ports over so we can actually view the application. So let's run this port forwarding command in this terminal. I have another terminal open here that I can use, this one for the API. So now we can, so basically what we're doing here, we're enabling the front end and the back end to talk to each other over our host. And again, this is not ideal. This is just for a demo. Since I don't have any kind of self-service discovery or service discovery enabled here for the front end to talk to the API. Okay, all looks good. Now what we can do is just open a new browser window, and we can go here to 127.0.0.1 and port 8001. That should take us to the application's front end. Let's see. So if we open this, and here's our front end for the application. If you also want to see the API, you can run on port 5000. Since it's using Fast API, we get the Open API documentation for this API. You can see all the different endpoints and so on. So it's really neat that way. So now let's go back here and we can take a look at this app. So if you go to courses, nothing here that we see. On the admin side, we can add a course. I have it all populated for us. You can submit that. That creates a course. You can now go back to the courses page. You can see a course here that I like. Maybe I can enroll in this course. And now on the backend side, the admin panel, you can see that Sam has enrolled into this course, and so on and so forth. You can delete, of course, and that's it. If you go back to courses, you'll see that the course has been deleted. So really, that's all I wanted to show you, how the application is working. And the front end is talking to the API. API is pulling data from the database or inserting data into the Mongo database, and so on and so forth. And it's working. It's working good. If I open a new terminal here, if we see this once again, we see how we deployed everything here. You know, we can always put all of this in one Helm chart, but there's no way for us to track this to see if there's any changes, any drift in the configuration. So that's where Argo CD comes into play. So now let's get our Argo CD namespace installed, and we're going to install Argo CD itself. So let's go ahead and create a new namespace. Let's clear here. Let's make this a bit bigger maybe. Let's put a new Argo CD namespace. And I'm going to grab this command that's going to install all the necessary components that make up Argo CD. There are some CRDs here as well. So if you want to see kubectl get CRD, some custom resource definitions that come here. And now what we can do is just watch the pods until, actually I'm in the wrong namespace. Let's go to the Argo CD namespace. And now let's watch the pods here. And they're all running. It's already been installed. So you can see the different components here. The different pods are running for Argo CD. That looks great. And now let's go ahead and access Argo CD. And to do that, you can just run this command to port forward. Let's port forward on port 8002 just for fun. And now we can go and see this in our browser. So open the browser and port 8002. Now this, of course, we have a self-signed certificate. I'll show you where you can change that in the documentation, of course, but for the sake of the demo, we're not going to worry about it. Now we do need to grab our credentials, and to do that, just run this command to grab the initial Argo CD credentials that come out of the box. Here it is, and it's admin, and this is the password. So if we go in here, make this a bit bigger, admin, our password. And it's of course recommended that you change this password and delete the secret from Kubernetes. And to do that, go to user info, update password, You can put your current password and update to a new password. Okay, and if you go back here at applications, you see that we don't have any applications just yet. You could create an application using the UI, but we will create that. We'll create this using a Kubernetes manifest. So before we do that, what we want to do is delete the entire school app namespace. We want to start fresh. So let's delete that. And just wait until it's all gone. And one more thing I want to do is I want to make sure I don't have any PVCs or PVs lingering around. Good. Actually, I'm in the wrong namespace. Let's just double check. Yeah, well, we deleted the namespace, so we're all good. Okay, now let's test the school app with Argo CD. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this command to apply this Argo CD school app YAML file, which is right here. And what this is an application manifest for Argo CD. What it does is going to create this application called school app in the namespace called Argo CD. And it's going to base it on a source and will deploy in a destination. So the destination is the namespace school app, and the server is the Kubernetes default servers here, as you can see. And then the source is the school app subchart, which is this folder here. And I'll go over this in just a little bit. And the repo URL is the current repo that we're in, where this subchart lives, right? So this is how it's going to track this against any live configuration. So if we make a change in here, and we will, in the values file, you'll see that it will find that there is a discrepancy. It's out of sync, and it will try to sync the states. The project name is called default. Sync policy here under sync options, we're going to create a namespace equals to true, since we don't have, if you run kubectl namespace, we don't have the school app namespace anymore, so we're going to create one, or Argo CD is going to create one for us. All right, so that's what's in this file. Let's go ahead and deploy it. And it says that the application has been created. So if I go into kubeNS and check and see, I've got, let's see here. Maybe it's not ready yet. Let's take a look at the UI for a second here. Oh, there we go. So the application is available here, and what we can do is it's the status is missing and out of sync. So we got to sync this to deploy everything we need, right? So you can see the different components that's going to create: PVC, MongoDB secret, the API service, front-end service, school app MongoDB service, service accounts, deployments, and so on. So if you want to see the difference of what's coming in, so you can see what's existing is nothing because we haven't deployed anything, and what's coming in is based on the different Helm charts that define the application. So we can see the differences here, but what we want to do is we want to hit the sync button, and the sync button will tell you that we're going to sync all these resources. So click synchronize and just wait a little bit until everything is complete and deployed. It says sync OK, it's synced, but it's still progressing, meaning that it's still building the resources that we need. So we just gotta wait until all of this is done. You can see the green heart is a good sign. That means we've deployed what we need to deploy. Everything is deployed so far except for the MongoDB deployment and pod. Looks like everything has been deployed, and our status now is healthy. And if you go back here, if you have multiple applications, you'll see the different cards here that show up for the different applications. So I really like this map, this tree. You can view different views here. You can see this view, application detail pods. We can see this network view, and then the details, application details list as well. But I like this one the most. All right, so let's go back and take a look at our environment here. So kubectl get namespace. We see school app now available. Let's get into this namespace and take a look at the different resources. And we already see the same resources we saw before, the 3 pods, API, frontend, and school app MongoDB. So that looks great. And we can forward our ports again. Let's just re-forward all the ports once again for the front end and the back end. This one as well, why not? And let's go to our front end, refresh, and we should see our application once again, and we can add a course, and we can view that course in the front end once again, enroll in a course, enroll, and just shows you that everything is running once again. It's working great. Okay, so we saw how we were able to deploy with GitOps or with Argo CD for GitOps. That's great. Now, what makes Argo CD really cool is that now it's going to track the status. So if we go ahead and, for example, change something in our application, and let's say in our values file. Now notice we're using Helm with Argo CD. So we're pointing to this school app subchart. And in this school app subchart, it's grabbing the charts that we saw before that live in GitLab for the front end, the API, and MongoDB. And if you see the chart YAML file, we're defining those as dependencies. So you can see that the dependencies here, the school app, and we're grabbing the GitLab repo here for the Helm chart. Same thing for the API, and MongoDB, we're using Bitnami's repo. So these are all the dependencies. So this is what's making everything work through Helm. And here we have a values file that we can feed into our charts. And in this case, we have authentication enabled for MongoDB. What I'll do is I'm going to change this to false. And let's go ahead and commit this. We're going to commit this into Git and say Mongo auth disabled. And let's go ahead and push this up to our repo. And once you do that, what you'll notice is that if you go back here, and it was fast enough. If it wasn't that fast, you could have just clicked refresh, and it will automatically show you that it is out of sync, right? So it's already looking at our GitHub repo, and it sees that we've made a change, and now the live state is different from the target state of what we want. So we can see that the school app MongoDB secret is looking to be deleted because that's what we want, right? We don't want authentication. But also the deployment looks like we have a change here as well. So we can run appdiff once again to see what's going on. I can see that my secret here looks like it's going to get deleted. And if we scroll down a little bit more, looks like there is a change also in the deployment manifest for the school app MongoDB, right? So here, what's changing is that we're removing these environment variables. You can see the secret now is getting removed, and the username and the password for Mongo. And the allow empty password is moving from no to yes. So we're going to allow an empty password to be used with Mongo. And if we close out of here and we go ahead and click sync, it will show you once again what's going to happen. And you can choose what you want to sync if you wish, and go ahead and synchronize. And it's going to take a little bit of time to get everything synced up. So let's take a look now. The new pod is going to get spun up. And I want you to notice something, that it's showing healthy, however it's showing out of sync. And you can see that the school app MongoDB secret hasn't been deleted, and that's by design. What you can do is enable what we call auto sync. So far, auto sync is not enabled, right? So I'll show you how to enable that in just a second, but just know that this has been already synced. And if we go back here and run kubectl get all once again, you'll see that our MongoDB is up, and it's 48 seconds ago that it's been up, so it's already been relaunched. Now, if we run, let's clear here and run get secrets, you see that the secret is still there. It hasn't disappeared yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on app details, and down here I want to enable auto sync. So we'll turn that on, and I'm going to enable prune resources. So that will allow us to it will allow Argo CD to delete resources at will. And if you go back here, you'll see quickly, we didn't catch it that quickly, but the secret has already been deleted. So we wait a couple more seconds, the progress should be healthy. So that's enabling autosync. You can see autosync has been enabled, so that will take care of deleting the secret for us. If I run this again, you see that no resources for secrets, basically no secrets are available now. That's already been removed. Now, one more thing I want to show you, we can play around with this, right? Because now we have auto sync enabled. So if I go ahead and change this back to true and commit this and say enable Mongo auth, and we're going to sync that. Now this should work, or should happen really quickly. We can hit refresh. Oh, you saw that out of sync really quickly, but then the secret came back, and the pod, MongoDB pod, is getting relaunched again. So you can see how we're auto syncing now based on the desired state, and we're back to being healthy. If we go back here and run kubectl get secrets, our secret came back. So that kind of shows you how we're able to monitor the status of the application based on what's the source of truth in Git. And that's the GitOps paradigm or method of deploying your applications. And Argo CD is really great at doing this in Kubernetes. Hopefully this has been helpful to understand the basics of Argo CD, how it works, and how it can keep your applications in sync. Thanks for watching.